Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
A very somber good morning to you here on this Friday. Welcome into not a Football Friday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Never know quite how to do shows like this when tragedy strikes, but we'll try to do our best here today. I got all dressed up in my creamsicle today to commemorate the big game on Sunday. We will do as best we can, do a great show for you today and talk some sports. As the Lightning lost last night, that was not fun. Brian Bradley will join us at 11 o'clock. Scott Carter will join us at 10:30. Talk a little Gator football as he does each and every Friday. Jeff Dittoff has some fantasy football advice, and I'm hoping to get Mike Bell on from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. He's in town. Great radio voice up there, covers the Falcons, so we'll get his thoughts on the game this weekend as well. Good morning to you, Tim Ham. How are you?
Good morning. We're just rolling along here on a kind of a tragic Friday morning.
Yeah, this is a tough one. No doubt if you're in a Tampa Bay sports fan, you've heard by now that abdur-rahim, the young, energetic, charismatic coach of the USF Bulls basketball team, who had a meteoric rise last year, passed away yesterday during a surgical procedure. And it is tragic on so many levels. It is so tragic. And you see the outpouring of grief on so many levels about this guy because, just to be quite honest, he was just really, really different. He's a really different dude. He's 43 years old, survived by his wife, Ariane, and 3 young children who we'd see often at the games at USF. And I did not get to know him as many did. I interviewed him, I think 3 or 4 times, had a chance to speak with him one-on-one one particular time, and was just blown away by his positivity, his inspirational tone, his infectious smile and personality. Everybody he touched, he wanted to make better. He wanted to make their lives better. And he did. There are very few people that you can come across in life where you walk into the room and they are just a powerful presence. And when you hear them speak, their authenticity is absolutely genuine and striking, because we don't see that much anymore, quite frankly, especially in public figures. Everything is packaged. Everything is homogenized. Everything is not what it seems, except when you meet people like Amir. And, I've had the great pleasure in my life and privilege to work with some incredible coaches. I mean, just men that are transcendent and women as well. I put Bobby Bowden in that list, who I work with closely for many, many years and consider a father figure. Tony Dungy, very much the same. John Tortorella, John Cooper, Joe Madden, Herm Edwards, Mike Tomlin. These guys are just powerful personalities in their own way, but they just come across at you differently.
Yeah.
And also, many of those guys, at the core of their being is their faith. And that was certainly true with Amir. Interesting to note. And he spread that love and charisma and positivity in such a wonderful way. And his ability to coach him up was insane. I mean, he took a 1-win Kennesaw team to the NCAA tournament, like in a year. Insane.
Quick turnaround.
I mean, unbelievable. And look what he did at USF, a program that was just left for dead, completely moribund. And in a year, it's an AAC championship, a 25-8 record. And I went to that game against FAU, ESPN in the house. This is a Yingling Center, Sun Dome that has been, absolutely a morgue for 10 years.
Yeah.
And that place was jumping, man. You could not get a seat. The students were lined up for 6 hours before the game to get in. I mean, this stuff doesn't just happen, folks. It takes powerful people with charisma and an ability to touch people that just is startling to witness, to be quite honest. And he did it. And he touched the fans because he was always out there talking to the fans. And his players just speak so highly of him. And to lose a man like this at the age of 43 it's tragic. And it's a gut punch. I mean, just from the basketball side, this team was set to start November 4th, like next week against the Gators. Like, what is this? What do they do? I mean, this is not just losing a coach. And for the USF program as a whole, I just, texted Michael Kelly, their AD, my condolences. And I can't imagine what he's going through.
Yeah.
And the whole USF family. They're on the verge of a lot of important things. And having a great basketball coach is a resource that is damn hard to find, as we have, we've seen this program go through many of them. It's hard to win here, and he did it. And he was on the cusp of, I don't know how long he would have been at USF because everybody wanted him. Yeah. Everybody wanted him. He was going to be a force in college basketball. One of those, top 10 to 15 coaches that become part of that entire franchise. He was going to be that guy. And you see the outpouring across basketball of everybody he touched along the way, and you can see that, the impact. So he's one of 13 siblings. All 6 of the boys played in college basketball. He told stories about, having to fight for food at the table, but, never complaining. I mean, this was a guy that came up and if you want to talk about what a nuclear family can do for a future, you go look at this family. His brother, an ex-NBA player, runs the G League. They're all incredible successes. And it just goes to talk about family, faith, basketball in this case, that kind of coalesced them all together, the game of basketball. And it was their vehicle to change lives and their platform to affect people, and not just within your inner circle, but in an exponential way.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, look at me. I'm a dude. I met the dude 3 or 4 times. I can't imagine what his family's going through. I can't imagine what the folks at USF are going through. There's players, his assistant coaches, anybody he's ever coached before. Man, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. And it's going to take a while for USF basketball to find someone like if ever, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even want to talk about what the impact is on the sports side of this, but it's significant. It's really significant to USF. And it's a gut punch. It's a gut punch.
Yeah, and there's things that are obviously in play here that are way more important than sports and basketball and, a program at a university like that. But at the same time, something like this affects all of that. These are real people that are in the program that were counting on him for things, and that looked up to him for things. And the university, of course, looked up to him for things and to lead that program. And, obviously it's there's no good way to go, but to lose somebody like this in during a medical procedure that, I don't know what the procedure was, but I have some insight into that, and I'm not really comfortable sharing it, to be quite honest, because
it doesn't matter. I think even Michael LaRue, he asked the question because everybody wants to know, how does a man that young die so suddenly, so sad and tragic? And it was described as a medical procedure from people I really trust that I know this information. It was not just I don't want you to think it was just some flippant procedure. It was a serious procedure. It was a very serious procedure that came with risk. And, I don't know how much the family wants out there. So I'll just, I don't want people to think that somebody just botched something that was a medical test or something. It was significant. And, unfortunately these things happen. And, but man, it's a gut punch. Yeah, it really is. And, we're going to go on with the show and we're going to talk about other things. But man, this is a tough one. Funeral arrangements have not been set. Obviously, everything is very, very fresh. And, I found out about this just as the Lightning game was starting yesterday. Yeah. And, my phone blew up and people asking questions. And we were going to do something last night, but it was just too fresh. We want to make sure we do it right. So there will be a tribute of some type Saturday night. Because if you don't know, the Lightning and USF are very symbiotic. They, the Vinnick School of Sports Broadcasting, or I'm not exactly sure the name of it. I should know this, but the Vinnick School of Broadcasting, he has a very high. USF have a huge presence with the Lightning. We're on the same radio station, 102.5. So we share a lot. Derek Brooks is, kind of a crossover guy that works with USF and works with the Vinnick Sports group. So we're going to do something on Saturday, and again, words are insufficient, gestures are insufficient. You just hope that in some way it helps the healing and somehow provides a legacy for a guy that was just here in such a short time. I mean, it's just like a meteor coming through your space, and it's just bright and it's glowing, and you're attracted to it. You can't take your eyes off it. And it affects everybody when he's in the room. That's the way it feels. And just like that, it's gone. It's gone. And,
and you and I talked off the air.
Forgotten.
No. And you and I talked off the air. I hope whatever words we used this morning did just the situation some justice. You and I both are uncomfortable with stuff like this.
We are. I am. I mean,
I just hope that whatever we said and whatever we say did justice for the human being that he was, and we didn't say something stupid to botch that up, because it's uncomfortable for me. I don't like talking about stuff like that, but somebody like that, again, we talked about he had a short run through Texas A&M down here in College Station, and I just met the man once, and the one time that I interviewed him, I think it was after, I don't even remember, it was after a Longhorns game. My immediate impression was, this guy's not going to be an assistant for very long.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he wasn't, and it's not often in this business, especially assistant college basketball coaches, that they leave an impression on you like that, So
I remember when he was hired, Hunter McKay, Rich McKay's son, who was a sports information guy up in Kennesaw State, we work with Amir very closely. I ran into him at the Rondé Barber Hall of Fame party, and he just like, dude, you guys just got the greatest coach ever. I didn't even know who the hell he was talking about. He's like, you have no idea how great this is. We lost him. He's terrible. We knew he was good, but he took us to the NCAA tournament. I just love this guy. He just went on and on and on. I'm like, oh, wow, can't wait to meet him. To me, it was just like, another name coming through USF, another basketball coach that'll be here about 2 years and be fired and, go along his way. This is another one, but he was anything but that. He was anything but that. And, but that's just kind of how everybody he met and worked with. This is how he took, and we all should aspire to be that human being, to be that person that inspires everybody every time you walk in a room, that they, you touch them in some way. And we should all, that should be our intention every day. Everybody we come in contact with, everybody we see, to treat them with kindness and inspire their lives and do whatever we can in this, especially in this world that we live in today, to help people out and be kind and motivate them and inspire them. There's so much negativity around that people like this are important. They're very important to the human condition. And we all should aspire to be more like him. He was the best of us. No question about it. And
yep.
So
it's a tough
all
one.
right, USF will have to move on. We will move on with this show. And of course, if you want to put any of the comments, if you had any interaction with him and would like to share, please feel free to do so. All right. The reason I'm wearing this ridiculously wonderful color is because there is a football game coming up on Sunday between the Falcons and the Bucs. That is going to be, quite simply, it is the season for Tampa Bay. You look at the schedule for the Bucs, you look at the schedule for the Falcons, and the Falcons, if they are to win, would take a 2-game lead in the division. It's very, very difficult to overcome when you get swept by somebody to win the division. And frankly, with looking at the standings the way they are now, winning the division is the only way the Bucs are going to get into the playoffs. I believe that that seems pretty evident. Even though the schedules for both teams are soft down the stretch, a loss in this game, can they still get to 10 wins? Absolutely, they can. Is that going to be good enough to get in the playoffs? That remains to be seen. So we'll see where it goes. This is a freaking humongous game. And I heard something yesterday that Liam Cohen said that I'm very buoyed by, to be quite honest. And basically, he didn't sugarcoat it. He's like, okay, guys, this is going to be hard. This is going to be hard. They've got to literally remake their offense. I'm sure that he came in on Monday or Tuesday morning, and there was, in the grouping, the offensive meeting, the players were off, the coaches are trying to figure things out. And I'm sure he just, laid it on the table and emptied the whiteboard and said, let's start over, boys. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Because this entire offense was predicated on the special talents of those two players. That's not to say that they don't have any more talented players, but if you're a good coach, the first thing you do is you put up on the whiteboard, what are my assets? What are my assets on this team? When Liam Cohen got this job, the first thing he did was
got out the whiteboard.
There's my basketball whiteboard. You see it? And it's like, okay, what do we got here? We got Mike Evans. Chris Godwin. The first two names I'm sure that he put down on the list, followed by Baker Mayfield, Kate Otten, etc. And you start devising your system around these players,
right?
And how to maximize their talents, because they're difference makers, right? In the NFL, you got 35, 40 guys that are guys, right? And then you've got, if you're a good team, you got 6 to 8 players who are difference makers,
right?
And the Bucs certainly have that. So now you have to scrap it all. You have to scrap it all and say, what are my best assets? Baker Mayfield. All right. Followed by any which way you want to put the running back room, Bucky Irving, who hopefully will play this week. Right.
Yes.
Rashad White, just, Jalen McMillan, Trey Palmer. You start running down the Sean Tucker, you start running down the list and it's like, wow, it's such a gaping hole. It's such a gaping hole. And you're like, what do we do? So, and I think what Liam said yesterday that I think is important is we're not asking Jalen McMillan to be Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. We're not asking Trey Palmer to do the same things we would ask of Chris Godwin or Mike Evans, which is smart. Now, when Luke Gedeke went down and we played the Lions, it's like, okay, you go be, Schooley, go be Luke Gedeke and go one-on-one with Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Terrible idea. 5 sacks later, we're like, okay, that didn't work. So that's good. I think it's important to understand that you cannot say, okay, Mike, you're going to take everybody one-on-one and you're going to out-combat catch them or get open or do what you do. And we'll just depend on that. No, that's not happening. So yeah, he's got to scheme it up and get these guys open. And as I said earlier in the week, when you look at the tape, Jalen McMillan, and he said he went to Jalen last week and said, look, man, you got to step up this week. and he had 3 catches on 8 targets. They gave him a jet sweep on a 4th down, which shows a lot of confidence in him as a player. They went to him on a 3rd down a couple times, but there was also a few times where he did not answer the bell. And when I watch his body of work this year, he's not the guy that we saw in training camp. I think we all kind of overestimated it, maybe because he was going up against the Bucs defense that he was torching in training camp. And now we see, okay, well, maybe that's not such a great accomplishment.
It's promising, though, at least, right, for the future.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm not saying Jalen McMillan is a bust. I think he's going to be a great player, but I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's strong enough to battle with some of these elite corners in this league. It's just a different physical game as a receiver, and I think he's still learning that part, as most guys do in this league. Yeah. It takes time. Yes, I know, sometimes there's a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson that burst on the scene. I get it, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And when you look at Jalen, he's not a powerfully built man. He ain't A.J. Brown. That's for damn sure. And he's not Mike Evans, and he's not Chris Godwin. So Liam Cohen has a real challenge here in the middle of the season without a bye week, actually on a short week. You've got to completely transform your offense. And people may say that's a little bit of hyperbole. I don't believe it is. Yeah. I think, how many third downs was Chris Godwin the primary receiver? I'd probably say 45 to 50%. Now where do you go when you're looking at the play sheet? I mean, it's just different. That's why these guys get paid a lot of money. That's why they're difference makers. It's just hard at that position as receiver. And I don't think Trey Palmer or Jalen McMillan, who are good players, are great players yet. They're not. So how do you work this? You just turn around and hand off the ball. That doesn't work that way.
Can't do that.
It's great. It's great that they have a running game, that they've shown the ability to be able to run the football, and they're going to have to lean on that big time. But now you're leaning on it when they know you have to run. Totally different story. Totally different story. So, Liam Cohen, you're up, man. And I think this is his game. And he's got to win a short week, devise some way, somehow, to score 24 points. Because I think that's about the ceiling that you could get to right now. Even though the Falcons aren't great, I get that. And they're not, they definitely have holes in their teams. They have 6 freaking sacks the entire year. They cannot rush the passer. So you take that into account. You'll have some time to throw. And how are you going to scheme that up? And this is where it really gets good. And this Bucs defense that has been torched specifically by the Falcons a couple of weeks ago to the tune of over 500 yards passing and giving up the lead late in the game has got to find a way to turn things around. I mean, we can't say, well, they don't have Antoine Winfield Jr. anymore. Well, they don't have Cansey anymore. Well, they don't, it's time to step up. Whatever you got, you better show it this week. And so this is why, I want to be all happy and creamsicle and let's go and put all the social media stuff, by the way, just fantastic. All the 70s stuff. Absolutely love it. We got to win a big football game this week. And, to me, somewhat the creamsicles is a little bit distracting. It's like, oh, yeah, great. I don't really care. Got to go win a freaking football game. This is a huge, huge game. And, there's a lot going against the Bucs this week. And I'll say this, the Falcons, again, are not a great football team. They're pretty good. And, they got smoked by Seattle last week. So now they got to come on the road. This is going to be a dogfight game. It's going to be a huge game in terms of turnovers, who's going to get them, and coaching. Todd Bowles has got to find a way to shore up the middle of his defense. What are you going to do? What's your tactic? Are you still going to play 52 in there? What are you doing with your safeties? How are you changing the middle of the field? Something has to give. What's it going to be?
So we both agree that Liam Cohen's done pretty admirable job since taking over the offense this year, correct?
Yes.
We're pretty overall happy with what he's done.
They led the league in points.
Right. So Liam Cohen said something yesterday in the presser, and I didn't have time to pull the sound if I even saw a video of it, but I just saw it in print. That kind of got me a little juiced and a little excited about the potential for this week. And again, the Falcons are very beatable. Like you said, they're a good team. They're not a great team. If you look at what the Seahawks did to them, they took away their rushing game. The Falcons rushed. They rushed for 155 yards total last week, but they largely beat them. The Seahawks largely beat them through the air. And I don't think you can do that if you're the Bucs, because you don't have your guys. But Liam Cohen said something yesterday that caught my attention. He said, of course, and this isn't the full quote, this is just summarizing, but he said, obviously this situation brings new challenges. He said, but it also brings new opportunities.
That's right.
And he says he's going to have to get creative with the offense. And I have full expectation that Liam Cohen can do that he's got something up his sleeve offensively, especially against a division rival, especially against the Falcons, especially at home against the Falcons, that gives me just a little excitement, just the way he was talking about it. So I'm not going into this game thinking, man, the Bucs are going to get rolled. They're missing all these guys on offense. They're missing some guys on defense. Man, I'm looking into this I can't wait to see what Liam Cohen does to make Atlanta look silly.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a win, and I'm expecting maybe something a little special out of this offense this week, just the way Liam Cohen's talking about it.
Well, it's going to have to be something special. And what's it going to be? I mean, now is really the time to show what you got. And it's going to be a challenge. It's really going to be a challenge. And that's why if we sit here on Monday going, wow, the Bucs scored 13 points, Baker Mayfield's terrible. This is what I see coming. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a huge challenge for Baker, because Baker is not that guy. He's not, as much as we love him, he's not Mahomes. He's not, he's not Josh Allen. He's not a guy that can take over a game. As good as he's been by himself, so to speak. He's not Lamar Jackson. When you surround him with good people and good receivers like you did, this was a perfect storm for Baker Mayfield. That's why he was leading the league in quarterback rating for a while. That's why he's leading the league in touchdown passes. And now you've taken away both of those things that make him special. And now Bake, being the competitor that he is, has got to, in his mind, really, really play with him himself and totally go against his gunslinger nature and check it down and not take chances with the ball, which he's done the last couple of weeks, and it's really hurt us.
Right.
Last week, those two interceptions were really bad. Both of them were really bad.
They both cost you points.
Yeah, he knows it.
One of them cost you double points because it was in the end zone. It took points away from you, and they scored a touchdown on the ensuing drive. So
yeah, and that was the point of the game that you lost the game. No question about it. And then to follow that up next series with another terrible throw, and you can't, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to get back in the game right away. He's got a little bit of that Jameis mentality, and that he has to, every play has to be a touchdown, and it doesn't. So this is really working against his nature. And as the frustration piles up, as he makes throws to guys that aren't quite where they need to be, just go back to last game and watch Trey Palmer run a slant where he doesn't come out of his break fast and hard enough, and it almost ends up as a pick. Right. Or Jalen McMillan, running a go route, doesn't stop for the back shoulder. It's almost a pick. That's going to happen 3 or 4 times in this game, and one of them will probably end up in a pick. And then Baker's got to go, okay, all right, working with young receivers. And then after the game, when he's got 3 interceptions again, he's going to be like, my bad. And this could carry on for a while, folks. And then everybody's going to stop yelling, getting on the Baker sucks bandwagon. And this could unravel quickly, is what I'm saying. I hope it doesn't. That's why this game is so important. I mean, they were against the odds in Detroit with all those guys that they had got banged up, and they somehow came out with a W.
Right.
All right. That's the type of effort that's going to be needed this week. And you can win this game. There's no question they can win it. And there's a lot. How they're going to win it, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know.
So
will they run for 277 yards again? I hope so, because I think you can get a W out of that. Run for 250 and throw for 150. That's plenty. play solid defense, don't give up explosives or in the middle of the field like you did the last time, you can win this game. Absolutely. The problem is they haven't shown how they can stop that yet. It's been a while. So
I think your game plan that you had going into the Ravens game will be very similar to what you throw out there against the Falcons, because and what Liam Cohen's going to have to do is tell Baker, look, we have zero room for error here like we did last week. Those two picks. I wonder if Liam Cohen's going to go to Baker and say, look, if you're in any doubt whatsoever, run the ball. I know he's not fast, but they're not going to be looking for Baker Mayfield to run the ball. I would rather you run and get 3 yards, 4 yards, get positive yardage than throw a pick, right? I don't know if that's in Baker Mayfield's nature, but when you look at the passing game last week in the loss, the leading receiver was Cade Otton.
Yeah.
8 catches, 100 yards. The second leading receiver, Rachaad White, 6 catches, 71 yards. You got to go to the third leading receiver until you find Chris Godwin. And he played, obviously, most of the game. Of course, Evans had the one single catch. We know why. Bucky Irving out of the backfield. They didn't utilize the wide receivers a lot against the Ravens. And obviously they can't do that now, but I think you're going to follow much of the same game plan against the Falcons as you did last week against the Ravens. And you're going to kind of dink and doink underneath. They're safe passes. They'll get the players involved. Just keep it safe. And if Baker's got a seam somewhere, just freaking use your feet and run the ball.
Yeah.
And that'll bring the linebackers up. You get that involved with the running game, and that'll open up some of those, I don't want to say deep passes because I don't know you're going to throw too deep, but it'll open up some of those intermediate passes for guys, for Otton, for some of the guys out of the backfield.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
so. There's a chance here.
Yeah, I think Otton and Sterling Shepard are going to get the majority of the targets, and Rachaad White. Absolutely. Yeah. You've got to use those guys and spread the field and come up with something a little bit different. And I'll be interested to see what Liam Cohen has. All right, we'll take our first break. When we come back, Scott Carter's going to join us from FloridaGators.com, talk a little bit about the Gators' big win over Kentucky, and they got Georgia coming up. Where is this team a month ago compared? I mean, wow, they've really turned it around. So I'm interested to hear what's going on in Gainesville. And of course, we'll talk a little FSU Miami later on in the show. Much more coming your way. Brian Bradley will join us to talk about the Lightning's loss last night, but what we learned from that loss as well. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Scott Jeeves, great attorney, wonderful dude. He is an absolute bulldog. When he's on your side, folks, you've got a great advocate for yourself. So if you have any issues with your hurricane, home insurance, any of that stuff, give him a call at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3. We've had a lot of fun with the monthly birthstones, and October is no different, where the birthstones are opal and tourmaline. All the colors of the evening sky are captured in the mysterious shifting hues of opal, and tourmaline has a color palette for every mood. Did you know that opals have been cherished for centuries, associated with royalty and good fortune? Tourmaline was once thought to protect against evil and enhance spiritual connection, adding to its allure. And during the 40th anniversary, you could find a special selection of this precious gemstone, from stunning rings and necklaces to elegant earrings and bracelets. Of course, Steve Weintraub handpicks every piece for its brilliance and quality. The expert staff will help you find the perfect gift, whether it's for a loved one, a special occasion, or a treat for yourself. Visit the Gold and Diamond Source today, where you'll always find the perfect gift. It's more than jewelry, it's love. Hey, it's football season, so we welcome back the FSU Football Report every Monday and Friday on the J.P. Peterson Show, sponsored by those huge FSU fans at Italiano Insurance. They'll save you money as well. Just do a quick insurance checkup, 813-877-7799. They just saved me $500 on homeowners insurance. Who's doing that? Yeah, they just shopped it around, found a better, cheaper company, and we got a cheaper price. And business insurance. Make sure you're covered or you could lose your personal wealth. That's 813-877-7799. ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Noles.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right. That's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Gettys Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Gettys Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units, and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, that's John Rodriguez and Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Topper Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. They now have a new men's section. They went out a wall and said, "Hey, we're going to make room for the guys here," and they got all kinds of great watches there, necklaces, whatever you need. Of course, while you're there, buy something for your honey as well. But treat yourself. Get a new watch. It's great. The Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online. GoldenDiamondSource.com.
My problem is I got too many honeys. I don't know which one I should buy stuff for. And I get in trouble because you know what my birthstone is? I was born in April.
What is the birthstone of
It's
April?
It's a freaking diamond.
Oh, well, that's going to cost you some money.
Yeah, so that's why I wear no jewelry.
Mine is ruby red for July. That's kind of cool, right?
Must be rough.
All right, well let's check in with the Florida Gators, who are off this week but are still celebrating a huge win over the University of Kentucky, who almost beat Georgia. Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com joining us here this morning. What's up, Scotty? How are you?
Hey guys, doing well. Continuing on this roller coaster ride that has been the Gators season so far. Like you said, the win over Kentucky got the fans back excited again as they enter this bye week and waiting on the Bulldogs. So we know what that's like over in Jacksonville.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a Kentucky team that's kind of had the Gators number recently. Of course, the Gators won 75 in a row over them. But Mark Stoops has done a nice job on the Gators the last few years, but not this time. What was the difference in this game last week?
Well, I think the thing that stood out to me, a couple of things. Number one was obviously the way the Gators offense attacked with DJ Lagway. You saw a lot more vertical passing game. He hit, I think they had 13 explosive plays of 10 or more yards, but I know in the passing game he only completed 7, but they were for 259 yards. So he was picking up big chunks of yardage. And then, Kentucky, it's known for its defense under Mark Stoops, and he has done a great job. They had beaten Florida 3 consecutive years before last week, and they just really were unable to make some of the adjustments that you come to expect from a Mark Stoops defense. And I thought, it was a promising start for DJ Lagway and what he brings to the offense, and also kind of just a subpar performance by Kentucky's defense compared to what we've seen. So you add those two up, and it's a 48-24 to win, and probably as good of a feel-good win as we've seen under Billy here his 3 seasons. They really needed that. And now I think, guys, it really goes down to whatever we think we know about this Gators team, we're going to really know it after these next 4 games.
Yeah, no question. And surprises all over the place, including Jaden Baugh, freshman running back, 5 touchdowns in his first career start. Holy hell. Where has this guy been? Was this more about him, the offensive line? I mean, 5 touchdowns against the Kentucky defense. That was shocking. What's going on there?
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned Jaden Baugh. That tied Tim Tebow and Trey Burton's Florida record, 5 rushing touchdowns in a single game. And what was going on, Montrell Johnson Jr., the regular starter, was out with an injury. Trayon Webb, the normal backup, he's also sidelined with an injury for a Kentucky game. So that left it up to Jaden Baugh. First time in school history, guys, that Florida had started a true freshman quarterback and a true freshman tailback in the same game. And they both delivered it. Jaden Baugh, like I said, 5 rushing touchdowns, 106 yards overall. And really, he was the recipient of, a lot of the, twice at least, DJ Lagway hit passes of 45 or more yards that got him down deep in Kentucky territory. Devin Moore returned an interception to the 1. The next play, Baldwin punches it in. And he also had a 7 and a 10-yard touchdown run, but a really good performance. And he's a guy that he really stood out to me going back as far as the spring game. When you looked at the talent in the 24 signing class, him and Lagway, to me, were the 2 skilled players on offense that stuck out the most. And I think they both, showed why on Saturday. And then it does go back always, guys, to the offensive line.
Right.
I think, that was a weakness with Florida early in the season. And I think since Billy Napier they were rotating a lot of guys in and out the first 3 games. And finally he settled on a consistent 5. And it just seems like there's so much more continuity there. They're playing better. They're healthier. And we know that to upset any of these teams coming up, they're going to have to play well along both lines of scrimmage. And right now, they're playing the best they have all season.
Scott Carter joining us here from FloridaGators.com after the Gators' big 48-20 win over Kentucky. So DJ Lagway now has, after 5 completions of 40 yards or more in this game of the 7, he now has 9 for the season, which is 9 more than Mertz, which is interesting. What is it about his deep ball or run after the catch, whatever, that is producing these explosives?
Obviously a lot of it's his skill set. He's got a very strong arm.
Yeah.
Billy Napier calls a different kind of game with DJ Lagway than he did with Graham Mertz. Mertz is more of your mid-range routes, underneath throws, very efficient, completes a high percentage. DJ, he loves to go down the field, and I've seen a lot of college quarterbacks. I've seen a lot of pro quarterbacks. He throws one of the prettiest deep balls I've ever seen. I asked Elijah Badger after the game the other night. I was like, have you ever had a quarterback anywhere? Because he came from Arizona State, really high caliber receiver in high school, who throws a ball that nice to you. He says, no, that's by far the best ball. He says he just puts it right there in the basket, and you don't have to do much work. And he's also, I think it's just confidence, JP. This guy, he's going to make some mistakes. We saw an interception against Kentucky. We've seen a couple others earlier in the season. But, man, when he's back there, he is not afraid to let it rip. And we all know that's what Gator fans love the most probably out of the offense. So they're getting what they like right now with DJ Lagway. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can continue to put up some of those balls and make plays. during this upcoming stretch.
Well, I'm looking at some of the quotes from Mark Stoops, and this is one that caught my eye. He said they were physically very much pushing us around and moving us up front. I felt like we were playing catch up the entire day. Overall, a pretty good whipping there. 197 yards against the 10th ranked rushing defense in the nation on the ground. That's just startling. And this Gator defense is, this has been a total turnaround from what we saw early in the season. I mean, a few weeks ago, Napier said, "Oh, that's the best bye week we've ever had." They're putting on helmets and talking to everybody in their heads, and I'm nodding my head, going, that's great." Yeah, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. This team is a totally different team.
No, they've really turned around defensively. I mean, as much as we talked about the offense so far, I think really what stands out to me is the defensive improvement. I wrote about it earlier this week, and you look at what Florida's defense has done in the first 4 games of the year. Opponents were averaging like 27.5 points. That's down to 18 and some change over the last 3 games. They're giving up 127.5 yards fewer in the last 3 games than they did in the first 4 games. So, a lot of times during the season, it's hard to see that kind of drastic improvement. You might see it once in a while from game to game because of a specific matchup. But, they've done it consistently enough now against 2 offenses that entered those games, JP, ranked top 5 nationally, UCF and Tennessee. Right. And they really did a good job on both. So credit goes to the coaches and players there. Again, I was like you when he talked about it. I'm like, okay, I've heard that before. We'll see what it means. And then after the game the other day, I asked Trequazy Bridges, a defensive back. I'm like, look, we've heard a lot of coaches and teams talk about that through the years, but sometimes you don't see it on the field. I'm like, well, what is the difference? He says, look, man, it's hard to explain, but when you are out there on the field and the guys aren't communicating well enough and playing fast enough, you don't have that confidence to play as fast as you need to. But now they feel that they're getting that communication they need. Everybody's playing faster, and it's boosted the confidence, and they're not scared to make plays or get beat. So I think it just is an overall kind of more of an intangible, really, than anything you can point to at X and O's. I think there's been some minor changes maybe there, but I think most of it's guys just playing better, and also they're playing some different guys. Some of the younger guys like Jaden Robinson, the linebacker, has really emerged. Jack Pyburn, the edge rusher, he's been playing the best ball we've ever seen. Bridges is more involved. So it's a combination of things, guys, really, that led to this turnaround.
Yeah, playing young guys, not a bad idea, Mike Norvell. If the old guys ain't doing it, go to the young guys. So here's the schedule. So it's the Gators now are 2-2, tied with Alabama in the SEC. How about that? Ahead of Ole Miss, who's 1-2. Ahead of Oklahoma, ahead of Kentucky, obviously.
By the way, where are those Aggies at?
Oh, there they are, 4-0 at the top of the conference. We'll be talking about them and their game with LSU a little bit later on in the show, Timmy.
They're lost to LSU.
So now you got Georgia in Jacksonville. Then you're at Texas, LSU, and Ole Miss. I mean, it is a gauntlet. At one time, I think all these teams were in the top 10 at some point. Yep. Obviously, Georgia and Texas still are. LSU right there as well. So, and then you got Florida State at the end of the season. So to get bowl eligible, you're going to win that FSU game, obviously. So you got to win one of these to get bowl eligible, which I think would save Billy Napier's job. It may just come down to that Florida State game at the end of the year. Ha, ha, ha. So what do you think? What would you give the chances of them making a bowl at this point?
Well, I mean, surely
50%,
a lot better. Yeah. I mean, right now, if I had put on the spot, let's see, bowl game for the game, I'm looking in the 30 to 40% range, probably.
Okay. All right.
And the reason I say that, guys, you look at what Florida's done, their body of work so far. They're 4-3, 2-2 in the SEC. Their losses actually look pretty good. I mean, Texas A&M, Miami, and Tennessee, they're combined 19-2. So they're good.
How about that?
The Yeah, the four victories for Florida: Stanford, Kentucky, Mississippi State, UCF. I think those teams are combined 10 and 17. So right now, that's why I say we're really going to find out what this team's made of in this stretch coming up. And I mean, you look at that schedule, Georgia and Texas. Going to be very difficult, I think, to win those games. The ones that intrigue me the most are LSU and Ole Miss because they're both at home.
Right.
And, you know, in years past, you know, those games are easily winnable at the Swamp. And I think if Florida's playing well in these next two, even if they lose, if they're close and it looks good, I like their chances a lot better in those two. If they get blown out in these next two, the noise and the rage is going to be right back to where it was after they lost to A&M.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important for them to just continue on this trend because, and you know, guys, even if you do win one of these four and you're sitting there at 5-5 going to Florida, or 5-6, and you need to win at Florida State. Yes, the Gators should win that game on paper, but we all know how rivalry games are, and you just never know. So it makes for a really interesting next month. I mean,
yes, it does.
I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know where it's going. I do know that it's going to be debated and talked about a lot whether or not Billy Napier can make it through to next season. And I think it's almost like a week by week thing still, just how it looks, and can they pull off one of these shockers or two of them maybe? You just don't know. But I was talking to another writer this morning, guys, and it's like, Florida has been underdog at the Swamp in 4 straight games against FBS opponents. I don't ever remember that happening.
Wow.
No.
And that's just where the program is, and they're trying to change some of that recent history, you know?
Yeah.
Scott, this Georgia oh, sorry, JP, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
This Georgia team has sort of it's interested me, and I'm by no means a Georgia fan or anything, but looking at this team this year, you know, all we heard the last season or so was what an NFL talent Carson Beck is, more so than Stetson Bennett was. Yet it seems this offense without Stetson Bennett, and I know they've lost a lot of other guys too to the NFL and so forth. This is not your father's Georgia offense. They're not great. Carson Beck is not having a great year. I think he leads the SEC in interceptions. The offense of Georgia is somehow ranked, I think, in the 40s in FBS programs. And it's just weird for me, but it seems like their offense is very vulnerable. Is there any chance the Gators can take advantage of what to me seems like a very vulnerable Carson Beck in the passing game?
By the way, they also lost Todd Monken, their OC, to the
right.
Ravens.
Absolutely. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, Tuesday, I think.
Well, like you said, I mean, I think he is susceptible to turnovers, and you saw how much of a difference that made in the Kentucky game. Florida got 3 interceptions, which, believe it or not, guys, that was the first time they had 3 interceptions in a game since the 2020 season. So if they can somehow force him into some mistakes, you got to figure this defense is going to be pumped up. I mean, it's Georgia, and they're also going to look across the line of scrimmage and see their former teammate Trevor Etienne. So you know they're going to want to send him a message. I mean, you know, everything we talked about here, guys, what if, the biggest what if they upset Georgia? Then that changes a lot of things. That would certainly earn Billy Napier, I think, some goodwill that he's never experienced in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
So, is it out of the question? No, I don't think much is out of the question in college football this year. I mean, we've seen these kind of upsets already. So I think we're probably going to see another one or two before the end of the year. And if Florida beat Georgia, that would be one of those kind of upsets. But yeah, I think what your point is, Carson Beck, I think he is susceptible to making some mistakes, and that can only help the Florida cause if he does that next week.
If there's anything we've seen this season, it's anything can happen in the SEC. I mean, for sure.
That's right, man. Yeah.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I mean, even the other night, what was the game midweek that there was a winless team that beat somebody that was undefeated? I mean, we were just seeing these games.
Kennesaw State beat Liberty. That's 27.5-point underdogs. Holy moly.
Yeah. So,
maybe Florida State can pull off a shocker this week.
Never know.
Well, Florida State is no Kennesaw State. I know that, so I have no hope whatsoever. But
Well, anytime Vanderbilt beats Alabama, if the sun comes up the next day, we know the world hasn't ended, but it sure felt a little bit like the college football as we've known kind of ended. And here we are mid-season, and we're talking about Alabama has 2 losses in the league. I'm all for this new world.
I mean, we live in a world where Vanderbilt's in the top 25. I mean, what the hell is happening right now?
Who had Kalen DeBoer getting fired before Billy Napier before the season started?
I mean,
Wow.
That's where we are, man.
That's right.
He's probably. I remember Bobby Bowden used to tell that story at West Virginia where someone burned him an effigy on his front yard. I have a feeling if DeBoer loses one more game this year, he may have that happen.
Golly, how crazy!
Isn't that crazy? I mean, it's one of my preseason predictions. I said Alabama fans will absolutely lose their mind because it's back to reality. Old Saint Nick is gone, and Christmas is over for you, Alabama. Your 15-year Christmas is over.
Yeah.
However long he was there.
Yep.
This, being in the playoff and being in the hunt every single year automatically is over, and it just goes to show you how great Nick Saban was. And he also goes to show you how Nick Saban, said to himself, I can't do this anymore, not in this current climate. There's no way I'm going to be as dominant as I have been. I'm out. And I don't know, it's kind of a strange way. I think that's good for college football. I think it tells you that parity has returned. And whenever you think about NIL and transfer portal, it has provided parity, and this 12-team playoff is going to provide even more. I think as more programs get comeuppance and will be able to recruit better because they were in the playoff. And I think there's like 30 teams that legitimately have a chance to get into the playoffs still. So,
I agree totally. Cool. And I'm a huge fan of it. And I just hope that I'm still one of those guys that, because I've been in Florida so long, I love when all 3 of the Florida schools are in the conversation.
Yeah.
So it sucks when only Miami is in that conversation as we talk right now. But I think it would be great one day if, Florida State and Miami can all be back in that college playoff.
Yeah.
And it's certainly more possible now in this system than I think it has been in the last 15, 20 years. So,
I agree.
So we'll see how it shakes out. But like I said, Gators just this week, they really turned up the intensity in practice yesterday, and they're going to do it again today. They're trying to build off of that first bye week. So we'll see if they can pull the upset against Georgia or not.
And maybe all the Florida schools will be in the same conference at some point too.
Yeah,
you know what, man? Is anything out of the realm of possibility these days? No,
there's not.
Joking on another show. Yeah, somebody was asking. Rex Grossman was announced as an SEC legend. He's going to be honored up in Atlanta. And I was like, man, it took him a lot longer than Barry Switzer and Vince Young because they're both SEC legends too this year.
Wow,
my lord, please
What's wrong
stop.
with that?
All right, Scotty, great stuff. Catch it all at FloridaGators.com. Appreciate you, Scotty.
See you guys.
See ya.
All right, quick break. When we come back, Brian Bradley will join us to talk some Lightning hockey. Stay with us. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve. and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Golfers, listen up. The hottest new driving range craze has come to Rogers Park in Tampa. The Top Tracer range is now open 10 to 9 p.m. And just like you see on TV, every shot is tracked for yardage and accuracy, giving you immediate feedback. And best of all, you can virtually play the top courses like Pebble Beach or St. Andrews with your buddies. Plus, great food and drink options available in the well-appointed hitting bays. Very comfortable out there. Reservations highly recommended, starting at $25 per hour, including balls. Reserve at rogersparkgolf.net. That's rogersparkgolf.net. See you there.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show right here on FanStream Sports. I'm IndyCar Tim. JP Peterson will be back momentarily. But in the meantime, we will welcome into the show Mr. Brian Bradley following a lightning loss. Oh, there's JP.
Sorry, guys. Had a little emergency there.
Hello, Brian.
What's up, Brian Bradley? How are you?
You.
I'm well. I'm well now.
How's my okay?
Yeah, you look good. You look great, man. You look fantastic as always in your lightning blue. I'm wearing my creamsicle for the Bucs big game on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. So
Huge
there we
game.
go.
But a lot of injuries to the Bucs, though, man. That's crazy. Evans, those are tough losses.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to overcome, no question about it. But this is when when the other guys got to step next man up, baby, next man up, right? Let's talk a little hockey from last night. Bolts had a chance to win this game against a very good and disciplined Minnesota Wild team. This was certainly not a Picasso. It wasn't like the 8-5 win. It was actually the exact opposite. It was kind of a slog through the neutral zone last night. It looked like the old New Jersey Devils that the Minnesota was playing, right?
No, the Wild played really good. I mean, there's a reason. They're a very good defensive team. That's the first time they have fallen behind in any point in the first 6 or 7 games when we went up 2-1. But they're a solid team. They don't give up a lot of goals. Marc-Andre Fleury goal played excellent for them again last night. Veteran guy, right up there with the likes of Brodeur and, all the top goalies that you talk about, Wise for the most wins and stuff like that all time. But, I thought, well, you know what, JP, we talked about it the other day. I think the Lightning are playing okay. I would not say that we're playing as good as we can. And, we went up 2-1, and it was a really good game. Minnesota's not going to give you a lot of opportunities. And then we gave up a real bad goal late in the second period with about 1:38 left. I think Eriksson X scored with 1:30. We lost our coverage in front. Vazzy has a shot. Bobby, to me, makes a save, but someone's got to be in front. And then it kind of changed the game. We took 2 penalties in the third period, or 1 penalty, and they scored. Both the goals they scored last night, except for the one, there's no way Vazzy has it. Both of them are one-time shots on the power play. Great goals by Kaprizov, and the other guy, I think Boldy scored, then an empty net by Kaprizov. But the goal that killed the game and changed the momentum is you can't up a goal with 1:38 with blown coverage in front, and we just kind of got a penalty coming to the gate in the third period, and we just never recovered at that point. I just think we played okay.
Yeah, the special teams were, as Coop pointed out after the game, the penalty kill was really good. They only gave up 2 shots. Unfortunately, that one of them went in. And that was the killer late in the game. And then Minnesota just goes into their freaking freeze zone neutral trap. And for the last 14 minutes of the game, I don't think they forechecked once. And the Lightning were pushing, but they just couldn't get the goal. And Fleury was really, really good. And interesting to note that Connor Geekie wasn't even born when Fleury was making saves in the NHL. I mean, how about that?
I mean, he made, Connor Geekie, hit the crossbar. He had the goalie beat. He had a great one-timer. I think it was from Hagel, but he had the goalie beat. It hit the crossbar and went out of play. But, the kid's going to score some goals. It just needs 1 to get 2 to 3 to 4. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at how we're playing as a team. When I look at Vazzy, maybe one of the goals he could have probably had. But, you can't really blame the goalie when you score. The 2 other goals were unstoppable. They were great one-time shots on the PP. So, but we got to score some more goals. We got to find a way. 2 goals is not enough at home. And look at Kucherov. He had a goal. He's playing really well, but only 1 shot. Jake Gensel had 1 shot. Braden Point had no shots. And these are guys that are playing 20 minutes a game with only 2 shots between the top line. We only had 2 shots on goal. That's not enough from our top line. So I'm expecting a big game Saturday. Washington's not going to be easy with Ovechkin, Tom Wilson. They've changed their team around. They've got a lot of different faces. And they're off to a 5-1 record. They're almost very similar to Minnesota we just played yesterday.
You mentioned the shots, and Cooper mentioned that after the game. It's like we're getting pressure and we had zone time, but guys wouldn't take shots. That hasn't been really a problem this season. I don't know. Was it when you're playing Fleury maybe, or playing a team where you're not going to get a whole lot of opportunities? Do you try to save it for the perfect shot opening and then maybe not just let pucks go when you should be? Is that maybe what we saw last night?
One of the things the other team did, they had a lot of guys who were shot blocking too. I saw a lot of guys wild, like Bogosian, some of their defensemen they had playing last night. They were very good at blocking shots. So even when we had shots from the point or high out, I think maybe 8 or 10 of them were blocked by Minnesota Wild. And you know what? Sometimes you just got to get the puck on net. It doesn't have to be the exact perfect play. Like, I'll tell you, the shorthanded goal by Cirelli, that was an amazing play by Cirelli, going up the ice, beating the defenseman, coming over the line, making a great drop pass to Hagel for the goal. But I'll tell you, I watched the replay a couple of times. Hagel I don't think he hit the shot. It went through his legs. So to me, it was kind of a missed shot. But sometimes the goalies aren't ready. You just never know when you're going to score. There's never a bad shot when you put it on goal. You can always go for a rebound. But you got to give Minnesota a lot of credit. They played very good last night. They're a reason they're 5-0-2 right now. And, they're solid defensively. And we just need to get more chances and create more, on the power play and different things like that. But, like we talked about, big weekend, we got Washington tomorrow, and then obviously Monday night's the big game with Stamkos back in town. But we need to start playing better. I thought the game we played against Las Vegas, we really played a good game against Las Vegas. I thought we had a great, excellent effort. We won the game. It was an exciting game. Intensity was there, but then we've kind of went into a little lull, and that happens. But we need the guys getting ready to go for tomorrow night's game, because I'm going to tell you, I think Washington's a very good team this year. Really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last night I'm watching them play defensively, and it's interesting you mentioned that game, because I remember that game, and the Lightning were just taking away time and space everywhere. They were just their energy level defensively was so good. And last night I'm watching it, I'm like, that's not the same. That's not the same as we saw the last time. And how does that change like that? Is it because of the opponent? I don't know. It just seemed different.
Sometimes, it's just, there's games where you just don't have your legs, but you just got to hope other guys do. At the end of the day, you can't play 82 great games and then go into playoffs. But
oh, you're still muted, JP.
We lost him. That was a blackout. We'll see if he returns here quickly. Last time it had a different feel, and the energy of the building was just meh. You know,
Really?
it's yeah. And I think a lot of it with Brian Engblom talked about on our post-game show last night, it's just the way they play. You know, the way they play and they neutral zone trap you. There's just you get no flow to the game. Like the game the other night in New Jersey, 8-5. I mean, it's just up and down the ice and it's, you know, everything's going in and there's flow to the game. And this was completely the opposite. I think sometimes when you play a game like that and you come back and it's just frustrating. It's just so frustrating. They've got all these guys waiting in the neutral zone and it's hard to get through. And then when you dump it in, you got to go get it. And they're just not letting you skate through as you should be able to skate through. And it just gets frustrating. It gets really, really frustrating. And I think, you know, it's you got to stay on it. They're going to give you opportunities. They're not. I literally did not forecheck the last 14 minutes of the game. They dumped it down into the zone and just went back and waited for the Lightning to come in. And usually that'll screw you up. Usually, a good team like the Lightning is going to score on you. But the Wild did not let that happen. They did not let that happen. He's back. Brian Bradley's back. Yeah.
All right, boys, it knocked me off.
Yeah, I was so scared for you. You just went dead out. So I was just saying it was such a different game from the Devils game that was just up and down. Everything's going in. And now it's, they're frustrating you at the blue line. It's hard to get in. And we lost them again. They only got one power play last night. The Bolts only had one power play. So it's just a different, weird game. And Minnesota's good. I mean, they put it on the Panthers and they gave it to the Bolts last night, but the Bolts still had the lead. And as Brian said, that Eriksson Ek goal that pissed off Cooper. that was and then now you go into the third period where you thought you were going to have the lead and you don't, and then you give up those two power plays. So they had 4, the Lightning had 1, and they just made it stick. That's all there is to it.
Vazzy lost his third in a row last night too, right? 17 shots, 3 goals. Is there some disconnect here between Vazzy and the defense that we're seeing here in the past few games? Because I'm not seeing the Vazzy that I know in goal.
Yeah, you know what? I thought Vazzy, I mean, I'll give you a take. I mean, it's a long season. I mean, I thought the first 2 games, like 2 or 3 games this season, great. He was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. Like I said, the game in Carolina where we won the home opener, then we came back and played against Vancouver, then we played against Las Vegas. I thought Vazzy looked as good as I've seen him in like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And then we went on the road trip. And
Toronto was bad.
Ottawa was okay. Toronto, he got pulled. And obviously, against New Jersey, he never played. But I mean, you know what? And he looked good last night. But I mean, there's a breakdown that third goal out there, the tying goal at the end, like we talked about, that cannot happen. I mean, you can sit here and blame Vazzy, but the defenseman's got to be in front of the puck, in front of the net. That puck probably shouldn't get to the front of the net. But Vazzy probably should make a save, which he normally does. But I'm seeing what you guys are doing. I think he's struggling a bit right now. I don't know why. He had so much confidence at the beginning of the season, but he's definitely not playing like the Vazzy that we know. We got a big game tomorrow against Washington, Ovechkin. I mean, it's going to be a packed house. I mean, they got a good team, a lot of new players, a lot of new faces. But we definitely, it's like anything. It's like a quarterback or anything. If you don't have your pitching in baseball, you don't have your quarterback in football. It's tough to win games. And Vazzy's the guy. At the end of the day, he's on the ice all the time. And you know what? He's got to make that save when we need it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was Vazzy's fault last night, but the Toronto game was the one that kind of was like, you rarely see him pulled, and he needed to be probably in that game.
Well, I think it all started in Ottawa. He didn't play great in Ottawa, and it just kind of carried right through to the next game. So, he doesn't get pulled too. Like I said, he's only got pulled, I think, 10 times, or I don't know, 19 times. I don't even know what the number is.
It's low.
2.5 times a year he gets pulled. So it's not a lot in his career. So, but he was fighting it, and I don't think he's gotten it back right now, which is amazing because he was so good the first 3 games. Like I was like, this is the Vazzy of old. This is the guy who won 2 Stanley Cups for us. He's been amazing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that goes as the season goes on. Connor Sheary put on waivers. They paid him 2 years, $4 million. Hoping that he could be a guy that would add a little bit of depth scoring. It didn't happen. So where does this leave the Lightning now? Obviously give some opportunity to some younger guys. What did you see? What happened with Connor?
I don't know. You know what? It just doesn't seem like it was a fit that they were all looking for. Maybe they wanted more goaltending. He was in Pittsburgh. I
Yeah.
mean, what he won a cup. I think he won one or two Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh. But guys get older and stuff.
Oh, lost him again.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. So Sherry, yeah, that was kind of it's a miss. You sometimes you hope guys fit in, they don't, and that's that. And so now
And that's
you move
okay.
on with it. Yeah, and it's
I mean,
better.
you can't have too many of those. You can't have
Right.
too many of those, but it's okay from time to time for guys to, you're shooting your shot with some of these guys, and especially the young players, you just don't know.
Yeah. So and clearly Gensel has worked out tremendously well. I mean, it's early, but Connor Sherry did not. Finish your thought on Connor Sherry, then Brian, and then we'll let you go.
Oh, he's got himself muted. Brian, you got yourself muted somehow.
I think you're muted. Yeah. You're muted.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like I said, they're just hoping. We have to, like I said, I really like our team. I like our defense. I like our goaltending. I like our top two lines, but then you have to have a third line.
Yeah.
And we're trying to find that third line right now. I like Jurgensen, the checker. I like our fourth line. It's not too bad. They're penalty killers. They do their job. They're shot blockers. But you have to have a third line in the NHL that can play minutes. That's why sometimes I feel bad for a guy like Nick Paul, because he probably deserves to be on the second line.
Right.
They played well together, but you know what? When you don't have that third line, the other teams can really take advantage of that third line. And that's what we're seeing on road trips right now, where they're taking advantage of our third line. And that's why Nick Paul sometimes has to drop back to center, because he's a veteran guy, knows the game, and he can give a little stability on the third line. And you know what? Like I said, hopefully they were looking for Connor Sherry to make something. It just didn't happen. Yeah. I don't think him and John Cooper saw eye to eye either. I don't know if he didn't play in the playoffs last year. Ken Atkinson came in. Now they're hoping something with him. Like, I think we only have 21 guys on the roster right now, and you're supposed to have 23.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're trying to do. I'm not sure how much cap space they have left.
I think it's cap space. Yeah.
Yeah, cap space. He makes $2 million a year, but if they send him the minors, it only counts for like 800 or 900. There's so many ways to beat the system right now. I don't know all the formulas of all that stuff, but they do.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, you know what? But like I said, guys, I really think when I look at our team, what we need, we just need to shore up that third line. We need something more. Like, hopefully it's Cam Atkinson. Maybe Cam Atkinson goes to the second line and Paul goes back with, Connor Geeky and someone else on the third line. But we got to have more strength on that third line. It's a concern for me right now.
I agree wholeheartedly. All right, Babe. Thanks, man. Have a great weekend. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, actually, I won't. You won't see me. You'll see Ron Burgundy, since it's our Halloween night.
Oh, that's Halloween night.
I will
see you tomorrow.
I won't be an elf, thank God, and I won't be an elf for Christmas, but I will be Ron Burgundy. So things will escalate quickly.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yeah. All right, Brian. I'll see you. See you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow at the rink. CJP, see you boys. Have a good night.
Yeah.
See you.
Thanks. Yeah, I have. They got me a wig and a stash. Although I might go with my own stash and color it. They got a nice full stash here. I can do. I have to cut off the bottom here. But I need a nice wide tie and a burgundy jacket. I used to have a burgundy jacket. I don't know.
You got the wig? You got the wig to go with it?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a wig. So, well,
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Yes, I know. I'm gonna have to watch all the movies and get my lines. My lines ready?
Have you ever had a Ron Burgundy moment on camera?
You mean like reading something in a teleprompter that's completely wrong?
Yeah.
I did. I actually did that last week. I always mess around with our teleprompter and production assistant,
right? And
Lindsay, and because we take the scripts and then a lot of it's the same, and then we interchange different teams, different nights. I have to change all those words in the script, and because there's a template. And sometimes, from a Tuesday to a Thursday, they forget to take the Tuesday out. So it's still Tuesday, but I read everything. And of course, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to just read it because unless I am an idiot. And so I literally pointed it out to her. I'm like, oh, you tried to screw me again? Here's wearing a tape piece, and I'm coming out to do the tag. And I'm like, and I got to get back on, and I just lost my train. I was thinking about something else, and I freaking read Tuesday. And I pointed it out. And I did.
It didn't matter.
And I'm like, Thursday. And I'm like, what are you? It's 30 seconds ago. You pointed it out. And she's like, do I need to change in the prompter? I'm like, no, I got it.
Oops. Listen to your production assistant next
Listen,
time.
if I didn't say F, if I said, just don't put FU San Diego in there. I don't want to.
Go F yourself, Tampa. Oops.
Please don't put that in the prompter.
Wow.
Yeah. So we'll have some fun with that Saturday night. That's our Halloween theme night. So we'll all be dressed up in costume, and that'll be mine this year, which I like better than last year's. Last couple of years has been no. I did Gomez one year. I think that was last year, and that was pretty good. But
it's a shame me and Johnny won't be there Saturday instead of Monday. I'd love to see that.
Yeah. Well, let's keep your eye on social media. I'll have some surprises for you guys.
There's always photos. Yeah.
Yes. All right. We'll take a quick break. Jeff Thidoff's going to join us with a little fantasy. Might even get Mike Bell from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta to join us. He's headed to town for some fun and frivolity. He thinks the Falcons are going to take a dub on Sunday. He may be right. So we'll do that when we come back. We're brought to you by Italiano Insurance. Hey, folks, if you don't have your flood insurance, I don't need to point out the importance of that anymore, do we? Even if you're not in a flood zone, obviously it can happen to you. So make sure you have it. 813-877-7799 is the number at Italiano Insurance. Get it now because the prices are going to go up. So lock yourself in for a year and tell them JP sent you. Get that great customer service that they are known for. At Italiano Insurance, been in business for over 60 years here locally. Back in 3. Stay with us. We've had a lot of fun with the monthly birthstones, and October is no different, where the birthstones are opal and tourmaline. All the colors of the evening sky are captured in the mysterious shifting hues of opal, and tourmaline has a color palette for every mood. Did you know that opals have been cherished for centuries, associated with royalty and good fortune? Tourmaline was once thought to protect against evil and enhance spiritual connection, adding to its allure. And during the 40th anniversary, you can find a special selection of this precious gemstone, from stunning rings and necklaces to elegant earrings and bracelets. Of course, Steve Weintraub handpicks every piece for its brilliance and quality. The expert staff will help you find the perfect gift, whether it's for a loved one, a special occasion, or a treat for yourself. Visit the Gold and Diamond Source today, where you'll always find the perfect gift. It's more than jewelry, it's love.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right, that's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for Third Generation AC and Plumbing. And Third Generation really says it all, folks. The owner, my friend John Rodriguez, has been in the AC and plumbing business since 1995. They built their business on honest assessments and doing great work on time for a great price. Simple, right? Did you know many AC techs are incentivized on big commissions to sell new AC units, and you might just need a drain cleared? So if you want someone you can trust, That's John Rodriguez in Third Generation Services. Check out the 5-star Google reviews. If you have a plumbing or AC emergency, call 813-961-8024 and a human will answer the phone. That's 813-961-8024 or go to thirdgenerationplumbing.com. Hey, it's football season, so we welcome back the FSU Football Report every Monday and Friday on the JP Peterson Show, sponsored by those huge FSU fans at Italiano Insurance. They'll save you money as well. Just do a quick insurance checkup, 813-877-7799. They just saved me $500 on homeowners insurance. Who's doing that? Yeah, they just shopped it around, found a better, cheaper company, and we got a cheaper price. And business insurance. Make sure you're covered or you could lose your personal wealth. That's 813-877-7799. ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Noles.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Topper Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Cafe Paradiso. I am so ready for a nice Italian meal at Cafe Paradiso. Have not been there in a bit. I need to get my butt over there, as do you out there. Support your local restaurants, especially these locally owned restaurants. They are on life support, many of them. Not Cafe Paradiso, number 3 in the top 10 of all Tampa Bay restaurants, in for a reason. They do it the right way, the traditional way. It's great food, great service, exactly what used to get from restaurants all over the place. They haven't changed a thing. So head on over there. Tell them JP sent you. All right, let's hit to some other subjects here, Timmy.
Mm-hmm.
Start with egregious face masks not called for 100. Sam Darnold last night. Jesus Christmas. The Vikings got a chance to go down the field late in the game, and he gets a face raked. I mean, how do you miss that call? Same thing happened to Bucky Irving and cost the Bucs the Falcons game. I mean, that really cost them the game. If they get that call, there's a chance they're able to kick a field goal or at least run out the time against the Falcons. They don't get it. They get another, a call against the Bucs for holding, so they got to back it up, and now they're out of field goal range, blah, blah, blah. We know the story. How do you miss that? And how is it not reviewable? With everything that's reviewable with replay assist, I mean, this is a replay assist layup, is it not?
Yeah, and that's part of the problem with replay is, and it's gotten better. I mean, let's give the league a little bit of credit. It has gotten a lot better than it was, 10 years ago, maybe even less. But some of these obvious things, you don't think about it until it happens. Like, who would have ever thought a blatant face mask would have to be a reviewable call? But referees,
how do you miss it? How do
referees
miss that?
If it wasn't a face mask, if it was a blatant hold, I mean, referees miss those all the time, right? And if it happened in the same situation, say a defensive hold that they didn't call or a DPI that they didn't call, stuff like that is more common. But like a face mask, you never would have thought like, well, we need to make that reviewable because, good Lord, it could cost somebody a game. Well, no, because they never miss stuff like that, you don't think, until it actually happens. And then it's an issue.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
weird.
It was ridiculous. And I mean, I'm not a Vikings fan. I'm not a Rams fan. I just wanted the best possible game on TV to watch, right?
Yes.
I may have been pulling for the Rams just a little bit because they're my NFC Super Bowl pick. But,
Cooper Kupp caught a touchdown last night.
By the way, Bucs fans, you can forget about Cooper Kupp coming to the Bucs because he ain't going anywhere after that win.
Yeah, because now they're 3-4 and they got a chance. So we will soldier on with that. I got a traffic jam here Timmy.
Yeah, we do. We got
yes.
doubled up.
Yeah. I know. We got Mike Bell from 92.9 The Game in Atlanta, and Jeff Thidoff in our bullpen here. Bell's in a cab, so I might have to go to him for 5 minutes and let Tito. All right,
Tito says he's cool. All right,
Tito's cool. All right, good. He was eating something anyway. What's up, Mike? How are you, buddy? Oh, I can't hear you.
He's muted. He's muted.
You're muted. You're muted. Come on, hit the mute button. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't unmute him. He did it himself. Uh-oh.
There he is.
Well,
I hear him.
Sound.
I hear you, Mike.
I'm in a cab. I'm on the causeway.
Yeah, I got you now. We got you now. Just
there you go.
Put your handsome face back on and be even better. There you go. You're looking good, partner. You're looking good. Welcome to Tampa, my friend.
Thanks, bro. Like I say, I went to Florida State. I'm not good with this communications and text.
or blocking and tackling or catching, evidently. Yeah, you're not good at anything.
Yeah, by the way, JP, before we talk Bucs, Mike Norvell was visiting a big high school game during their bye week, and the joke was, if you can catch, tackle, or block, you can start today for Florida State.
Wow. What are you selling? We're selling anything right now.
He's not wrong.
Golly. Our good friend Pat Burnham at the Osceola at my behest did a little breakdown of all the drop passes and what it would, if you went back and caught some of those, they probably have 3 or 4 more wins. I mean, just that alone.
Oh.
And it's ugly. It's ugly. But that's not why you're here. You're here to party and watch the Falcons get a big dub. What's the talk into Atlanta radio about this Falcons team after getting spanked by Seattle last week? But they got an opportunity to go up big in this division right now.
Yeah, JP, every team does it, and there's no excuse for it. But it's just everybody kind of lays that turd, where. By the way, we're at the Westin. The Westin. Yeah. Just telling my Uber.
Great hotel, by the way.
I said,
Great hotel.
Bahama Breeze. We're at the West. I mean, I like going to Bahama Breeze, but we're at the Westin. Anyway,
yeah. You're close. You're close.
It's just that every week, even the good teams do it. And famously, Steve Young and the 49ers, the year they won the Super Bowl, they got squished by the Eagles. But we haven't established ourselves yet to the point where you can say, oh, okay, you just had a bad week in the office. They really just could not get Geno Smith on the ground. Our pass rush is non-existent. Matthew Judon just can't. No, we're at the Westin. The Westin. Yeah, the Westin. Big tip, awesome. Big tip, JP. Big tip. Now, we're coming over here later. We're definitely. Last time we were, by the way, sidebar, JP, we were at the Bahama Breeze when the Yankees were, with Derek Jeter was here. Yeah. And my cousin, Tony the mailman, is very swarthy. A couple of Yankee groupies during spring training start coming on to us. They go, well, who's this? I go, who's this? It's Derek Jeter's brother, Peter. I'm his agent. And they go, and he goes, oh my God, Rosemary, it's Peter effing Jeter.
Peter Jeter.
Peter Jeter. Epilogue, when the Super Bowl was here, when the Cardinals played the Steelers, I was working with David Pollack, and he was friends with Jeter, and we got to go on a limo with Andy Roddick. I was like, one of these things are not like the other.
Yes,
and,
nice.
And I told Jeter the story. He could not stop laughing. He's like, Peter Jeter. He thought that was funny. But anyway, getting started. Sidetrack. Bahama Breeze. We just looked like the crap. We have no pass rush. So even though you're going to guys like Sterling Shepard and guys with maybe 30 catches between them in their careers, I still think if you give Baker Mayfield time, I still think you guys can have some success.
Yeah, I think that's where it lies because they're going to have some time to get open against that secondary, and I think that's kind of where this game lies. These young receivers against the Falcons secondary. I know one of the safeties is beat up as well for Atlanta. What's the health like for the back end for the Falcons?
We're okay. I mean, look, we gave AJ Terrell the big money, but the secondary is tied in with your front. If you're gonna play that kind of zone, that cover 2/cover 3, you've got to get pressure from your down linemen, and we're just not getting it. We brought in Matthew Judon from the Patriots, and he's a good dude, and he's got good attitude, kind of got a lot of swagger, which is something this team doesn't often have. Right. But we're not getting home. And the guys like Arnold Ebiketie that had 6 sacks last year, they're just not making it happen. This is Jimmy Lake, former Washington head coach, and he is our DC. So JP, we're just not getting there. Offensively, I think we can run the ball. I think we weren't able to run the ball in the first matchup on Thursday night. It became one-dimensional. Tampa took away the run game. But still, I think after
500 yards of passing will cure that, really.
What the Ravens did, though, maybe we try to get Bijan and Tyler Algier getting going on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, that's a nice hotel there. Tell all the good folks there I said hello. Thank you for jumping on.
JP, come on down to Whiskey Joe's. We're all going to go boating. We're going to go streaky later. It's going to be awesome.
We're going streaking down by the quad.
Love it. I love it. Keep me posted. I'll be there tomorrow.
Brother. Love you.
All
Go
right.
Knowles.
See you, man. The great Mike Bell there from 92.9 Game. This is good stuff. Yeah, the Falcons, like he said, they're a flawed team, as are the Bucs.
Yeah.
And this is for first place in the NFC South. Everybody's got flaws, including Tito, my man, Jeff Thidoff, who joins us now. Thank you for your patience, my friend. You're finishing your lunch anyway, so I'm like, yeah, I'll let him have a little digestive moment. How are you?
Doing well, bud. How you doing?
We're good. I'm using props today. I feel like that guy on CNN. So this is
I thought you feel like Carrot Top.
Well, yeah. Does he do that too? So this
Carrot
is the
props. Yeah.
This is the board that Liam Cohen is looking his offensive weapons. We have. Can you see this? We have Evans
right
at the top. Let's cross him off.
Cross him off.
My marker is not.
Like you need new markers.
Yeah,
Godwin.
Yeah, not working. Cross him off. So we got Bucky, Rashad, Tuck, J-Mac, Otten, and Palmer.
Not a lot there. Hey, look, the Godwin and Ayuk injuries, both of those teams out for the season now are just they're crippling. I loved Godwin this year. I was like, he was a guy who targeted a lot of drafts, and I thought him going back to the slot was going to be great. He did produce. Tough injury and ugly,
completely
injury.
Useless. I mean, completely avoidable injury.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to be in the game at that point.
You can't defend that.
There are people defending it, including Ryan Clark, including that guy too.
I'm defending it. I don't want a coach that's going to give up with 2 minutes to play in the game. Down 10. They had every chance to win that game.
Okay,
look at the numbers.
I was
joking, Tim.
Thank you.
I was. You know what? If Evans was healthy, he'd have been in the game too. Rightfully so.
He's not. That's the whole idea, though. That's but ifs and buts, candies and nuts. If they had more points, they would be in more. No, you have a 99.9% chance of losing the game at 6 minutes, at 3 minutes, at 2 minutes. No chance.
A win there and no Godwin the rest of the season is not as good as a loss there and Godwin for the rest of the season.
Thank you. We've been debating this all week.
I want to win every game. I don't care who it is.
You're not going to win anymore. Not win as many now because you don't have Godwin.
It's a 17-game season.
Anybody can get hurt on any play. It's the National Football League.
I hear you too.
He can't get hurt if he's sitting on a bench.
Yes.
And you're not going to win if he's sitting on the bench either.
You ain't going to win that game
win
anyway.
More. You might win this week.
You had a chance. JP just admitted there is a 0.1% chance that they could have won the game. And I'm going with my 0.1%.
If I divorce my wife, there is a 0.1% chance I can hook up with a supermodel.
Yeah. Ain't happening.
I know the odds.
Yeah.
I'm not going to divorce my wife.
Oh, I bet it's more than that. I'd say 0.2 at least.
Well, if I hang out with Tim Ham, it is. Yes. And Johnny. Yes. Then it is. Yes. That's all I got to do. I'll take the ones that you don't take. I'll take the table scraps. That's fine.
I got a few of those I'll be happy to give to you.
Perfect.
JP, look at our viewer number at the top of the screen again.
Oh, what is it with this?
What is going on with this?
It's constantly 666 every time I look up there.
Every time Tito comes on, we're at 666.
Yeah, that's right. Every time. Wow. That's weird. Somebody add or drop off.
Yeah, somebody quit watching for a minute.
God, it's like every day I look up there. Every time I look up, it's 666. Anyway, so now you mentioned injuries. Like what are the list of injuries of you take the top 10 draft picks in any draft? Okay, and we start with McCaffrey. Hasn't played it down. Brandon Ayuk goes down now. Chris Godwin was, probably a top 10, top 2 producer. I mean, how many do we have here?
There's quite a few, and it's a thing where going into this year, and I shouldn't say I'm not totally surprised about McCaffrey not playing. And if you look just historically, there's only a few guys that have bucked the trend of having such a high volume the previous year and producing the next year. There's only a few guys that have bucked that trend. And like Walter Payton used to do it. Emmitt Smith used to do it. Peterson did it, Adrian Peterson, and Henry's doing it. But how many other guys? Ray Rice after that Super Bowl year, and I know he had the stuff off the field also, but even before that, he was never the same running back after their Super Bowl year. You had Arian Foster, the big year he had. We had down in Tampa, James Wilder after Jamal Anderson in Atlanta. There are so many guys that have such high volume that never. Larry Johnson was never the same after his big volume year in Kansas City.
Right.
And so we're seeing that with McCaffrey now, with how many carries he had. And you got to look at not just carries, look at carries
Touches.
plus receptions, and then also look at postseason. Put that in there as well, because if you're playing in the late January, early February, add all those numbers in there with it, and you can see where guys fall off dramatically after a year like that.
Yeah.
McCaffrey, injury prone already, had an enormous amount of touches last year and has not yet played this year. Who knows when we'll see him? I know there's talk seems like every week we can talk about like, hey, he's back probably this week, maybe next week.
I don't know. Germany to get stuff. I mean, it's
right.
like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Right.
Well, probably much better medical system anywhere but here now. So now, like I've got Saquon Barkley. I'm like, oh, I'm worried. It's how many touches he's getting. But it was interesting, the Ravens last week with Derrick Henry. He wasn't in the game for long stretches. Mm-hmm. And, Troy Aikman's going, wow, this is kind of weird. But even, Harbaugh himself said, look, we're not bringing you in here to run 32 times a game. We're not doing that. We're going to keep your touches to about 15 to 20, probably more late in the game, and it's working. I mean, the first 2 weeks they hadn't figured it out, but they figured it out. And I watched that team last week. They are a freaking juggernaut. And I still think in fantasy football, I'm starting Lamar and I'm starting Derrick Henry and I'm starting everybody on that team. I think Bateman's going to start getting a lot more. I just picked him up on waivers. That is a juggernaut team.
The luxury that Harbaugh has is that he's got a number 2 running back in Lamar Jackson that can still gain yards. Whereas it's not a huge it's a drop off. Sure, it's a drop off in style, yes, but it's not that significant drop off where it's going to hurt your team in the outcome of the game. Harbaugh's being very smart about how he uses Henry. You will see in close games, Henry get more usage. If the game though is tilted really far towards the Ravens side, third quarter or so, you'll see him get the rest like that because he knows he wants Henry in February more than he wants Henry in November.
Yeah, at least there are some coaches that figure that out, that it's better to spare your team.
God, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Right, Tim?
Spare some touches to keep guys healthy. That's a great idea. Who the hell, and as bad as the Godwin injury is, the Evans one is even more perplexing. He's injured all week.
Yep.
Get Atlanta next week. I said on my show, don't start him.
I agree with this
keep
one.
him.
Yeah.
And then he gets injured in the first quarter. He pulls his hamstring, and you put him back in the game.
That makes
that's coaching malpractice.
That feels to me like a coach who doesn't realize where he's at as far
as and that's always been Bowles' issue. This game management. It's like, what are you thinking about? You know what he's thinking about? What's the next call on defense to straighten out this defense that's getting gashed? And he's not thinking about the big picture, and he's delegating to other people. And it comes, and you find out pretty quick that it all comes back to you. And I'm to the point now where I don't care how good the play caller is, if he's a head coach. Stop calling the plays. There's too much other stuff to worry about that you're failing at.
Yep.
And he's failing at both now.
Yeah, there really is. Bowles, for me, he coaches week to week and does not have a big picture view of things. If you had a big picture view, you'd say, you know what? Yes, Atlanta's coming up on the schedule. That game's worth 2. That game's worth 2 wins if you win that game. So I'm okay if I don't necessarily win this one. I've got to win that next 2.
Yeah.
So one of the big games, Tito, that I was looking forward to is Bears and Commandos. Just saw it reported this morning by my Washington Commandos insider, Jaden Daniels, not at practice today.
Ooh.
Which does not lend well for his availability this weekend during the game. And I was really looking forward to a Jaden Daniels / overrated Caleb Williams matchup. Just to watch Caleb Williams fail again.
Yep.
And we're not going to get that, apparently. I mean, it could still happen, obviously, but that report would indicate the probability of that is going down and down as the weekend approaches. But has there been a run on Caleb Williams in the fantasy, or was he a big get like initially as the number 1 pick, or how does that work in fantasy? Because I hadn't done it in a while. Do guys just immediately go out and try to get that number 1 pick if they think he's going to be good?
A lot of people drafted Caleb Williams as a number 2 quarterback on their teams. Not many people took him thinking this guy will be my guy all year, but they took him as the number 2, hoping to get a lottery ticket out of him. After a couple of weeks, he got dropped in a lot of leagues. He was one of those added players now this week because coming back now, so like he looks better than looks more attractive now than he did after a couple weeks into the season. So there's a lot they're grabbing Caleb Williams. I'm still not a big believer in grabbing him unless you're totally desperate. And the only way you're totally desperate is if you've lost your starting quarterback for the season or your starting quarterback's gotten benched for whatever reason. There's not a lot of cases of that going on right now, obviously. You know, you look, the Titans situation is one you can say, well, if I drafted Will Levis, maybe I'll grab Caleb Williams. Or if you've got a guy in a bye week, maybe you'll grab him then. If you drafted Lawrence and not happy with him, or drafted Mahomes, not that you would, Mahomes I think to get better, obviously, with the fact you had Hopkins in there. But he has been added quite a bit. He's not somebody I've added quite a bit in the leagues that I'm running, but teams I'm running, but he certainly has been a popular pickup now. I'm not a big fan. I think Williams is way too up and down for me. He's still turnover prone as far as I'm concerned. Washington's got Mariota going to start this week, it looks like. But I still like Washington's defense against Chicago because I do think that you'll see, I think you can count on Williams, as all rookie quarterbacks, for the most part, 1 or 2 turnovers in the game.
Yeah, against a good defense for sure. Yeah.
Sure.
All right, here's a specific question for you for my league. Kyle Pitts or Cade Otton this week. They're playing each other, and I got Otton's going to get a lot of targets because of obviously Evans and Godwin going down. But Pitts toasted this Bucs defense for 8 catches a few weeks ago, and the Bucs have absolutely zero, and I mean zero, plan for stopping tight ends or anybody over the middle.
I think it's close. I like Otton a little more simply because I think he's going to have the more volume. Yeah. I think when you look at the Atlanta Falcons options there, Drake London, obviously, Bijan Robinson out of the backfield will catch some passes, as will Tyler Algier when he comes into the game. I believe, though, I would, not to mention Mooney there for Atlanta. They've got better weapons, more options to spread the ball around in Atlanta. And I think that Atlanta will be ahead in this game, which I think Tampa Bay will probably have to throw more. And so I think Otton's probably the better play. Otton's probably a top 10 tight end for me. I'd probably put Pitts just on the outside of that.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you on that. Anybody else, any sleepers this week you're looking to throw in daily fantasy? Who you like?
Well, I'll tell you, if you're desperate at quarterback, and I said this before, and I don't know if it's probably too late now, but like I grabbed Tua. If you have a league that had like an IR status you could use, I grabbed Tua and just stashed him with the idea of if he comes out and plays really well, then it's somebody you could trade if you want to have trade bait somewhere. But the receivers for the Dolphins will be much better. Waddle and Tyreek Hill should be better as long as Tua's under center. That team was obviously pathetic in offense without Tua in there. And although, the concussion stuff aside, whether you believe Tua should be playing or not, or wearing the Guardian helmet, whatever that is, I think that the Dolphins offense will certainly have a significant uptick with Tua under center. We saw last night with the Rams when they get healthy. Not that those guys are available, but, Stafford, though, is much better when you've got Nakua and Cooper Kupp available there. You saw that last night with the 4 touchdown passes against the Vikings. Those are things you have to look at. Look at the health overall of receivers. And Russell Wilson played well for Pittsburgh, much to my chagrin, because I love Justin Fields. But, George Pickens all of a sudden seems a lot more attractive now. And then keep an eye out on the trades, what happens. If Mike Williams gets moved from the Jets, he's done nothing for the Jets this year. But if he gets moved to a team like Pittsburgh or to another team looking for wide receiver help, then, he may have some value if he's a number 2 receiver somewhere.
All right, partner. I got to add a running back.
Sure.
What do you think of Jaylen Warren for Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I like Warren. I think that he's going to keep it. Look, the Steelers, with the passing game opening up, it's going to make things more attractive for the running game. We saw Najee Harris had a big game last week, and Jaylen Warren's going to continue to get work into that game as well. They don't want Harris, they don't want Najee Harris down too much. But, yeah, I think he's a good pickup there. I don't know which other options you have, but, I still like Rico Dowdle for Dallas as someone to pick up if he's still out there. Chubb for Cleveland. He's probably not out there. But yeah, around that, like if you're telling me it's either Warren or say like Austin Eckler, I would grab Warren. Out of those, Tank Bigsby and Jacksonville, I like quite a bit too. If he's available, I would grab him. He's outperforming Etienne, and I think he's going to continue to do that.
All right, partner, good stuff. Any other thoughts that you have before you leave us? Picks this weekend? Anything you really love?
Well, I tell you, Ohio State's a 25.5-point favorite against Nebraska, and they better cover that after what Indiana did in Nebraska. That's something for sure I would keep an eye on there. After Indiana won 56-7, what a crazy week in college. We got a lot of good games in college football coming up this week. Alabama having to go to Missouri. Missouri's missing their top running back. It's a elimination game for Alabama if they're not already eliminated from the college football playoff. BYU's
not until they get 4 losses.
I think 3. You don't think? I think 3. They're out.
Hey, ESPN makes the choice, man. Are you kidding me?
I know, but God, we're gonna have chaos though with these college football standings. If you look at how some of these things could play out, you could have like a bunch of teams that have are undefeated or have 1 loss in the conference. You could have like a 5 or 6 team tie, and without a lot of common opponents. I don't know what tiebreaker they go to if it goes down to the level 9, like prettiest colors, whatever it's going to be. But you're going to see some pissed off college football fan bases this year. Because you're going to have a team. You could have Indiana, maybe 1 loss, tied with other 1-loss teams that does not get into the Big Ten championship, and how pissed off will they be? Or if Ohio State or some other school gets left out of a conference championship game because of some weird, obscure 18-team thing with not common opponents, it's going to be bizarre.
Yeah.
Tito, give me your take on Dylan Raiola. I know he was an Ohio State commit for a while, and he's lighting things up over in Nebraska, wearing his Patrick Mahomes hairdo and his number and everything.
Raiola commits to Ohio State and then says, hey, I'm recruiting for Ohio State. I'm going to make this class great. And then he moves to Georgia for his last year of high school. Hey, I'm going to Georgia. Yep. I'm going to recruit for Georgia. And then goes to Nebraska where his uncle's the offensive line coach.
And his dad played there too, yeah.
Yeah, I never trust a quarterback who transfers that many times. I think of Tate Martell, who went to Ohio State and said, I'm not leaving, and then goes to Miami and doesn't play, then goes to UNLV and doesn't play, and now he's like at the Sitco or whatever. But I hate guys. I do not trust any quarterbacks that transfer that many times in that
before he's even in college.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I saw the joke out there that Ukulele, whatever the quarterback is out there for Florida State, how he is giving up the rest of his season to go get a CDL. Because he wants to be a truck driver now. I'm not sure if that's true, but it would surprise me.
He might have a better future as a truck driver.
Yes.
Somebody said he still could have another year of eligibility left.
My God, that's fine.
He never used his red shirt. So
Dr. JJ's got a year somewhere,
So he'll just keep going from good program to mediocre program to horrible program. Next year he'll be at I mean,
Ohio State's going to need a quarterback next year, right? Isn't Howard done after this year?
Well, let's not.
Let's get Ukulele up at Ohio State. I'm going to start campaigning for
Kyle McCord back. He had a nice night last night.
He looked great last night for Pitt, didn't he? He plays for Syracuse. I'm sorry.
Syracuse.
I thought he played for Pitt last night.
3 pick sixes. Yikes.
5 picks in the game. That's insane.
Yeah, and he's been having a great year too for Syracuse.
Yeah, he was.
Can happen to anybody.
Is that a Ryan Day issue up there at Ohio State that they can't recruit quarterbacks?
They do they do a great job recruiting quarterbacks. What are you talking about?
They haven't had a decent quarterback. They haven't had a decent quarterback since
you let Brock Glenn get away to Florida State.
I'm sorry, who's CJ Stroud again? I forget.
He's not from Ohio State. He just went there.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. All
right, Tito. Have a great weekend. Be profitable.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Tito.
Yep.
All right. You want to get some picks in here, partner? I don't think I did very well last week. You got the scoreboard?
I do, JP. You did not do very well last week.
You kicked my ass last week, didn't you?
We both went into the week with 19 points as we get our football music going here.
Yeah.
JP, we both went into the week with 19 points.
Yes.
JP, out of a possible 12 points, scored 3.
Ouch, babe.
I got 7, which means I lead you now 26-22.
Well, I'm going to have to start going off the reservation now for sure.
Heading into this week. Couldn't find a line on Florida, Georgia. I looked really hard, and I couldn't find anything.
That's because it's next week.
Oh, yeah. That's probably why. So I went Florida State. And I was racking my brain. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay.
Now, these college teams have bye weeks off now.
Yeah, I know. These bye weeks screw me up big time. Yeah. So this week for college, we've got Florida State at Miami, BYU at UCF, and I went with North Carolina at Virginia as our third game.
Okay.
So to start, JP, Florida State plus 21 at Miami with a total of 54.
Miami can name the score. Florida State won't score much. So I think I'm going to have to I think they will score more than 54 points. So I'm going to have to go Miami, lay the 21 and the over.
Miami and the over. You know what I'm doing, JP? I'm going to show some.
Nothing is my.
It very well may happen. You know what I'm going to do though? I'm going to show some respect to Florida State. I'm going to say they at least cover.
Well, no, 21.
And I'm going with the over as well.
Okay.
Next game, BYU plus 1.5 at UCF with a total of 53.5.
The reality is USF is not good, and the reality is BYU. This is one of my great picks of the weekend. This is easy, BYU.
I agree. I don't know why they're dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're on the road, but yeah. So what about the total? 53.5?
I'm gonna go under on that.
All right, I've got the over on that.
Okay.
North Carolina plus 3.5 at Virginia with a total of 59.
I like Virginia sneaky good.
Yeah.
I like Virginia in this one, and North Carolina is not very good, and their offense stinks. I mean, their defense is awful. So I'll go over. I'll go Virginia in the over on this one.
All right, I've got North Carolina in the under.
Okay.
May do some. You're either going to do some catching up this week or falling further
behind. That's the plan.
As we get into the NFL, JP, the Monday Night Football game, Giants, future Hall of Famer Daniel Jones, and the Giants plus 6 at the Steelers. 36.5 is our total.
Wow, 36.5.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers scored 32 by themselves last week with Wilson.
I know. Russ is cooking. I got to go over on this, and there's absolutely no way I can take the Giants at less than a touchdown. So I got to go Steelers and over.
Steelers and over. I'm going to take the Giants in the under.
Really? Okay.
How you like him apples?
I like a 36.5.
Yeah.
All right.
Dallas Cowboys plus 4.5 at an injury riddled, not that the Cowboys aren't, but at an injury riddled 49ers. Total is 47.
McCaffrey's not playing, correct?
Nope.
This is one of those games where you look and you say, well, it's the 49ers. It's not the 49ers.
It's not really the Cowboys either now.
It's not really the Cowboys either. So I think in a weird way, I'm gonna have to go Cowboys here. Take the points. And then what's the total?
47.
I'm gonna go over on that.
I've got the Cowgirls in the under for you.
Okay.
I'm thinking, that's probably going to be, both of these offenses are struggling a little bit. I'm thinking like a 20-17 game or 21-17 or something like that either way.
Yeah.
Final game, JP, the Falcons -2 at the Fighting Baker Mayfield Buccaneers.
I just look. I really want the Buccaneers to win this game. I just don't see how they do it. I think they'll get better as the season goes on, but the first game back without Evans and Godwin, I just don't know how. I just don't know how you figure that out. I just don't know how you figure it out so quickly. And the Bucs defense is it's so terrible, and it was so terrible, and they haven't made any adjustments. I'm trying to find a way to analyze the game and say, this is what's going to happen. But it's the same two teams play, but except one is absolutely gutted on offense.
Yeah,
absolutely gutted. I just don't. And if the Falcons won the last game, so how do you pick the Bucs in this? I'd love to, but I can't. I got to have Falcons. And what's the total?
45.5.
Yeah, I'm going over that for sure.
All right, JP. I think just the opposite.
Good.
I think in the first game back, the Buccaneers are going to those who are on the field, who are remaining healthy and throwing in the Liam Cohen factor here. I think they go out and they win one for the Gipper, they win one for the Godwin, and they win one for the Evans, and they just put on a show. Now after the Atlanta game, I can't make any promises, but I think they get up for this game, especially at home. And I've got the Bucs.
I didn't even mention that. I didn't mention the curse of this.
There's no curse.
There's a curse. There's a curse.
Everybody used to think there was a Cowboys blue jerseys curse. But actually, it probably was back in the 70s.
It's the losingest color in the history of professional sports. But
it's also the greatest color in the history of professional sports. At the same time,
oddly enough, it really is. It really is. It's the most beautiful color and yet the worst color ever. It's such a dichotomy there. But it is a curse. It is without question, it is a curse. It is the Doug Williams curse, and it still exists. And every time, this is why Tom Brady refused to wear them.
Why is it the Doug Williams curse and not the Vinny Testaverde curse?
Because there's another curse that goes along with that, with Doug, with not paying him, and you call.
Oh yeah. Okay, I got you.
That son of a bitch that he is, and being the racist that he was.
Right.
Well,
JP's taking Atlanta in the over. I've got Tampa Bay in the under.
We got a lot of discord this week.
We do.
Something's got to give.
These two teams hate each other, JP.
What's the total again in this? 45, did you say?
45.5.
45.5. All right. I got all this written down because I think you're cheating me on the results.
Look, I'm going to start taking pictures of my sheet.
No, I know.
Send it to you. I'll just put it on the screen every week.
You're one of the few people I still trust in this world, my friend. I don't know for what reason. I have no idea, but I trust you.
I'm okay with losing, actually. I don't care.
Yeah. That's the other thing. It's like, it doesn't mean enough to you to cheat. I get it. Same here. I agree with that. All right. What else do we get? Oh, real quick before we go, because I've seen, how long has it been since the Trop blew off the roof? It's been a couple weeks now.
Yeah. 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay. So I didn't want to do this soon, but I think now after seeing for the 900th time, you posted a video, in the Trop, and I finally had to snap, and because everybody's, it's so sad, it's terrible, and I get it for people that work there, whatnot. I get it, but this again was avoidable. This was avoidable. This stadium has far outdated its life expectancy. The roof itself was 10 years beyond what it was designed to do. You were supposed to replace the roof, you cheap guy, but you didn't.
And that's per the engineer that designed it. That's not someone saying that. Yeah.
Right. This stadium, as we all know, should have been scrapped long ago, but Stu was making way too much money in that stadium because he didn't have to pay for it. It was all gratis, and he was making money hand over fist, and a new stadium was going to cost him some money. And he had every opportunity to build that new stadium in 2018 in Hillsborough County. And people can say all they want, there wasn't corporate support. There was corporate support. That's a lie, a provable lie that continues to be printed. They could say that Hillsborough County didn't have the money. That's not true either. They had the money. It was a stretch, but they had the money at that time to do it. It absolutely should have been built. It could have been built in 2018, and the Trop would have been demolished before the hurricane came through and wrecked it. These are all facts that people don't want, but the owner did not want to spend half the money that at that time would have been $450 million, which would have been probably a cost to him of about $150 million after naming rights, would have paid for most of it. And certainly a lot less expensive back then when the Rays would have been playing in that stadium, and this would not be an issue that they're now facing an existential issue here in Tampa Bay because their owner, and is this not fair? Is this not fair criticism?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so before we bemoan, who could have predicted? Everybody could have predicted that a hurricane was eventually going to come through Tampa Bay, and the roof that was designed to be replaced 10 years ago was not replaced. And the whole stadium completely outdated and should have been replaced. But, it all came down to money for Stu. As long as he could keep it on the gravy train, he wasn't going to do anything.
Well, and putting a fabric roof on a stadium in a hurricane zone, I know they're rare in Tampa, but still, I feel like that's a bad idea.
It's a really bad idea. It's a horrible idea. And I think our fabric roof days are probably over now that Minnesota, who'd have thought they'd have a snowstorm in Minnesota?
To cave in the roof on a Sunday morning early at 3 a.m.
Shocking development. Who would have thought a hurricane would come through in Florida?
Some of the greatest video still to this day, those security camera footage of the snow caving in.
Yeah. Remember? Wow. Yeah. And it was the Georgia Dome and the tornado.
Yeah.
Okay. We done with these things?
That was during a basketball game. Yeah.
During a game. Yeah.
Probably not a bad idea.
Yeah. So, once again, avoidable. as tragic as it is, it was completely avoidable and should have been avoidable. So there's only one dude to blame, as always. So have a great weekend, Stu. And maybe at this point, with the fact they have no TV network, they have no stadium, and they have no offense whatsoever, maybe it's time for Stu to cash in, take his $2 billion plus the money he's going to make on the real estate deal that he just boondoggled St. Pete out of, and go away. Take your money and run. Pretty good idea.
Yep.
And on the opposite side, Jeffrey Vinnick putting a $20 million bonus pool into his employees at the Lightning after he made a windfall profit off of the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Right.
He gives it back to the employees in $20 million. How about that?
Seems like that's the way it should be.
Yeah, you think those full-time employees at the Rays offices are going to be getting $20 million bonuses when he sells that team? That'd be a no. That'd be a no. A big time no.
Oh, Stu.
Jeff Vinnick, what an owner. What an owner. Unbelievable, man.
I wish I could be an owner.
Yeah. 3 more years he'll be in charge of the club, and then he'll hand it over. So no worries if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. Things will, I think, continue in that direction for quite some time.
Yep.
But that's one of those things that an owner does that the rest of the owners go, damn, man.
You got to do us like that.
Well, you got to – come on, man. I was going to keep all that cash. Imagine that, a CEO handing back money when he makes a windfall to his employees. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine a world where a CEO has a windfall profit and actually returns it to the people who earned it for him.
Who got him there, yeah.
Shocking development.
Employer loyalty, JP. It's unheard of. Oh, God, we're back at 666, too, by the way. We jumped up a little bit. But
well, I guess we should end on that. On this Halloween Eve weekend. All right, so for all you people in San Diego, Ron Burgundy will be making his appearance at the Tampa Bay Lightning game. At Lightning Vision, Ron Burgundy will be hosting instead of me tomorrow night, so tune in for that. All right, have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mike Bell. Thank you, Jeff Thidoff. Thank you to Scott Carter and Brian Bradley as well. Cast of thousands here on the JP Peterson Show. Hope you got what you paid for. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go Bolts. Go Bucs. Go Knowles. Go. See you on Monday. F you, and F you.